Good morning and welcome to the 118th Annual Commencement of the Catholic University of America. We begin by asking God's blessing with the traditional prayer for the university by His Excellency Donald W. Wuerl, Archbishop of Washington and Chancellor of the University. Archbishop Wuerl is the 7th Chancellor of the University and the 3rd alumnus to hold that post. After the invocation, please remain standing and join in singing the National Anthem.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Father of light, from whom is every best and perfect gift, we return you humble thanks for our National Catholic University and for the blessings, great and manifold, which through its ministration you have bestowed on us, our religion, and our country. We are pleased, O God of wisdom, to raise it up for the glory of your name and the welfare of the Church. Fulfill in it, we beseech you, your will and never failing purpose. Let your Holy Spirit abide with it, and through its teaching, hold us steadfast in our Catholic faith. Make its light so to shine that all who are seeking after truth may come to know you, who are truth itself, and to keep your law, which is the way of life eternal. Give our people such understanding of your university, its aims, and its power for good, that they may love it even as the Church loves it, and strive as of one mind with the head of the Church for its increase and advancement. Let us all, as sharers by word and deed in the work which you have established, have joy in its prosperity, comfort in the certain hope of the eternal, exceedingly great gift which you have promised to them who do your faithful service. For the sake of him who is the way, the truth, and the life, your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Please be seated. Your Excellency, Very Reverend President, members of the Board of Trustees, administrators, faculty and staff, families and friends of the graduates, distinguished guests, members of the class of 2007. The rituals of this day, on which we mark the 118th commencement of the Catholic University of America, are meant to signify a turning point in the lives of our graduates. A few moments ago, students and their professors marched together, all attired in similar academic clothing, much like that worn in the universities of the Middle Ages. The colorful academic hood is ceremonial. It was a mark of status and retains that symbolism to this day. The colors lining the hood denote the institution, in our case, gold and white, which recall the papal foundations of the Catholic University of America. The hood is trimmed with the color associated with the academic field of specialization. A complete list of these symbolic colors is given in the back of the commencement program. In the procession, the students carried their hoods on their arms. Later in the program, the deans of 11 schools of the university will present their graduates as candidates for their degrees, and they will be asked to don their hoods. The ceremony will be complete when the president and the chancellor, by the power vested in each, accept the candidates and officially confer their degrees. Now fully attired like their teachers, the students will advance to another level within the broad community of scholars. For many years, we have been pleased to hold our annual commencement on the steps of the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Although a separate institution, the Basilica for generations has been in the hearts of Catholic University students, the main university church, and the site of much of the religious life of the university community. We are grateful for the generous cooperation of the staff of the shrine under the rectorship of alumnus and university trustee, Reverend Monsignor Walter R. Rossi. It is my pleasure at today's ceremony to welcome the vice presidents of the university, Dr. John J. Convey, provost of the university, Dr. Michael Hendricks, vice president for enrollment management, Frank G. Persico, Vice President for University Relations and Chief of Staff, Susan D. Purvey, Vice President for Student Life, and Robert Sullivan, Vice President for University Development. Also with us this morning, in addition to the Chancellor, the President, and the Rector of the Basilica, are a number of other deeply committed trustees of the university. I ask that you hold your applause until all trustees and emeritus trustees have been introduced. David A. Donahoe, Esquire, Vice Chairman of the Board and member of the CUA class of 1959 and the CUA Law School class of 1962, and a partner in the firm of Aiken, Gump, Strauss, and Feld. Bertha S. Braddock of Alexandria, Virginia, and recipient of the 1995 Patronal Medal. Frederick R. Favo, President, Oakmont Realty, Oakmont, Pennsylvania, and an alumnus of the class of 1955. Andrea Rohn of Washington, D.C., and anchorwoman for WUSA-TV Channel 9. Mark H. Toohey III, Esquire of Washington, D.C., and a partner in the firm of Vinson and Elkins, LLP. We also have several emeritus trustees joining us today. Reverend Monsignor Paul A. Lentz of Washington, and former executive director of the Black and Indian Mission Office. Timothy J. May, Esquire, partner in the law firm of Patton Boggs, LLP, Washington, D.C., and an alumnus of the class of 1954. Helene C. O'Neill, a resident of Bethesda, Maryland, and an alumna of the School of Nursing, class of 1956. Vincent A. Sheehy of McLean, Virginia, alumnus of the classes of 1951 and 2004, and chairman of Vinco Incorporated. We welcome our trustees and thank you for your presence here today. Also seated on stage are the Associate Vice President and General Counsel of the University, Craig Parker, Esquire, the Vice Provost and Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Siobhan M. Wall, the University Chaplain and Director of Campus Ministry, Reverend Robert Schlageter, Order of Friars Minor Conventual, the Associate Provost for Sponsored Research, Ralph Albano, the Chief Information Officer, Zia Mafahar, the Registrar Mary Ellen Flaherty, Esquire, the Rector of Theological College, Father Thomas Hurst, Society of St. Sulpice, David Hartke of the class of 1982 and President of the National Alumni Association, and the University Marshal, Dr. Therese Ann Drouart from the School of Philosophy. It is now my pleasure to introduce the President of the Catholic University of America, the Very Reverend David M. O'Connell, who will confer special university honors. The first is the President's Award. It is the highest university award presented to a graduating senior who has demonstrated prominent leadership and outstanding scholarship and exemplifies the highest ideals of Christianity. Nominees should have a grade point average of 3.8 or better. They should have distinguished themselves in various activities throughout their career at CUA. In addition to receiving the President's Award, today's recipient will receive the pin of the CUA Alumni Association on behalf of all undergraduate students who today are formally welcomed as members of the association. Pins for all undergraduates in the class of 2007 were distributed to each of their places prior to the beginning of this ceremony. I ask that Megan Payne, class of 2007, and Alumni Association President David Hartke please join the President at center stage for the conferral of the President's Award and the ceremonial pinning. An August 2003 article about Catholic University athletics listed Megan Payne as one of 14 incoming freshmen on the women's field hockey team, a name among many others. However, it did not take long for Megan to distinguish herself on the playing field and in the classroom. She finished her first season on the team with Rookie of the Year honors. By her senior year, she was team co-captain and along the way had collected first team all-capital athletic conference honors. Catholic University prides itself on sustaining a culture that nurtures scholar athletes. During her 4 years here, Megan epitomized the CUA scholar athlete. Her efforts in the classroom earned Megan a place on the Dean's List for 7 semesters at Catholic University. She graduates today with a 3.892 grade point average and a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering with a minor in mathematics. Not satisfied with challenging herself on the athletic field and in the classroom, Megan was a leader in student life activities and an active participant in campus ministry. As with the CUA field hockey team, Megan joined the Society of Women Engineers in her freshman year. By her senior year, she was president of the group. In fall 2004, she served as a support staff leader of the CUA Sophomore Retreat, helping to organize the annual event for fellow students. In June 2006, she traveled with other CUA students on a campus ministry-sponsored trip to rural Quezon, Panama, where they stayed with native families and helped to harvest local crops. During her time at CUA, she was also active in pro-life hospitality, Habitat for Humanity, DC Reads, and Friday Nights Planning Committee. Whether she was involved in academics, sports, or extracurricular activities, Megan dedicated herself completely to the task at hand and excelled at it while getting the most out of her Catholic University experience. For her leadership, outstanding scholarship, and devotion to the Christian ideals of our community, the Catholic University of America is proud to present the 2007 President's Award to Megan Payne. The President's Medal is the highest honor awarded by Catholic University. It is a recognition of the embodiment of the mission and spirit of the university by an individual, evidenced through truly outstanding achievement in an area or areas of endeavor consonant with that mission and spirit. I ask that Mabel McLaughlin please join the President at center stage to receive the President's Medal. For almost 30 years, Mabel McLaughlin, the Senior Executive Assistant to the Provost, has served as one of the pillars of the Catholic University of America's administrative staff. Her efforts helped ensure professors were hired, classes were taught, critical milestones were met, and of particular importance to all the students and their families sitting here today, that commencement ceremonies took place with all the pomp and circumstance appropriate for the occasion. Following her arrival at CUA in 1979, Mrs. McLaughlin quickly became one of the university's most indispensable staff members. She worked for 5 senior administrators during her tenure, providing the sort of support, continuity, and deep institutional knowledge that proved invaluable to those who directed university business and academics. Over the years, through her intelligence, diligence, experience, and engaging personality, Mrs. McLaughlin acquired the kind of clout that ensured things got done. She frequently worked with the CUA executive team and academic deans while rallying other members of the CUA faculty and staff to help coordinate various projects. She has functioned as a de facto hiring expert for faculty and professional staff, especially in the days before many of those duties moved to the Office of Human Resources. She long served as the building supervisor for McMahon Hall, where the Office of the Provost is located. Her broad knowledge of the day-to-day operational functions of the university have made her an authority with the custodial grounds and maintenance staff, many of whom lovingly referred to her as Miss Mabel. Quote, "Mabel knows everyone on campus and all know who she is. I believe she is the most widely known and respected staff member on campus," said Provost John Convey, who worked with Mrs. McLaughlin for the past decade. According to him, Mabel has a reputation for doing things just right. It is well deserved. Everything she does is first class. Earlier this year, Mrs. McLaughlin retired from Catholic University. As a way of offering thanks and a fond farewell to one of the most accomplished and beloved members of the CUA community, it is fitting that we honor her today with the university's highest honor, the President's Medal. On the recommendation of the President, the Board of Trustees has authorized the conferral of an honorary degree to the Honorable Anthony A. Williams, former Mayor of the District of Columbia. His honor will receive the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. I would ask that President O'Connell and Mr. Williams come to center stage. In 1995, the financial state of the District of Columbia had become so dire that Congress took over management of the city's finances through a federal control board. To deal with the city's $500 million budget shortfall, Anthony Williams was brought in by Washington's mayor to serve as the city's chief financial officer. Mr. Williams excelled in that post for 3 years, restoring the city's fiscal health ahead of schedule. In 1999, he himself embarked on the first of 2 terms as the city's mayor. During that period, his sure and steady hand set the city on a new course, one marked by progress and optimism. As Mayor Williams prepared to leave office at the end of December 2006, the Washington Post summed up his legacy, quote, "Williams leaves in his wake a city with a good bond rating, sizable cash reserves, a more accessible healthcare system for the underserved, several promising neighborhood projects, a Major League Baseball team, a new stadium under construction, and a hometown that is no longer the laughingstock of the nation. He lifted Washington from the muck and turned it into a contender. He honored his office with honesty and integrity," end quote. To put Washington, D.C. back on its feet, Mayor Williams drew from a wealth of experience as a public servant. Previously, he had served as Chief Financial Officer of the U.S. Department of Agriculture and had held executive posts in several U.S. cities. When he took over Washington's government, Mr. Williams balanced every one of his annual budgets, delivering a surplus of $325 million in 2006. The city's Standard & Poor's bond rating went from a dismal BBB- in 1995 to its current A+. Downtown DC boomed, the middle class started returning to the city, and crime levels decreased. Mayor Williams championed the creation of charter schools. In 1996, there were no such schools in DC. Today, they educate more than 20% of the city's students. In recognition of his indispensable role in ushering in an era of financial stability, growth, and confidence in our nation's capital, the Catholic University of America is proud to confer on the Honorable Anthony Williams the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By the power vested in me as the President of the Catholic University of America, I am privileged to present this honorary degree for which you, Mr. Williams, have been recommended by the President of this university and approved by our Board of Trustees. Congratulations.
On the recommendation of the President, the Board of Trustees has authorized the conferral of an honorary degree to Mr. Robert Anthony Tony Snow, public servant and journalist. Mr. Snow will receive the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In 1981, as an editorial writer with North Carolina's Greensboro Record, Robert Anthony Snow wrote, quote, "Irresponsible cynicism makes virtues of sloth and envy and gives self-sacrifice a bad name," end quote. Just lofty words for a young man 4 years out of college with a degree in philosophy? Those who know him would say no. For Tony Snow, White House press secretary and veteran broadcaster, pundit, and newspaper columnist, the words still ring true. His integrity as a person and as a journalist is reflected in the words of his friends and colleagues. When Mr. Snow was appointed President George W. Bush's press secretary in 2006, friends in his hometown of Cincinnati remembered him as a teenager with a quick mind and a compassionate streak, according to the Cincinnati Enquirer. A recent editorial in Raleigh's News and Observer described him as, quote, "a sturdy foil for the sometimes disagreeable White House press corps, and a clever and popular spokesman," end quote. A News and Observer reporter described him as a genuinely nice guy, family man, with a good sense of humor, someone who has come by his political beliefs after a lot of honest contemplation. That honest contemplation can be traced back to Mr. Snow's college days when he was president of his senior class and a member of both the Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honor Society and the debate team. After a teaching stint in Kenya and in Cincinnati, he continued to voice his thoughtful opinions, first at the Greensboro paper and later at several others, including the Washington Times. Between 1993 and 2000, his nationally syndicated column appeared in more than 200 papers that included the Detroit News and USA Today. In 1996, he became a weekend news anchor and political analyst for the Fox News Channel. By 2003, he also had his own show on Fox News Radio. Mr. Snow has answered the call to public service more than once in his career. In 1991, he took a break from journalism to work for President George H. Bush, first as his chief speechwriter and then as deputy assistant to the president for media affairs. For his integrity and dedication as a journalist, public servant, commentator, and contributor to the nation's political discourse, the Catholic University of America is proud to bestow upon Robert Anthony Snow the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By the power vested in me as the President of the Catholic University of America, it is my privilege to present to you, Mr. Snow, this honorary degree for which you have been recommended by the President and approved by the Board of Trustees. Congratulations. I think I'm going to call these ceremonies the Tony Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, our commencement speaker, Dr. Tony Snow.
Your Excellency, Archbishop Worrell, President O'Connell, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the administration, distinguished faculty and staff, graduating students, and families who paid for it. Honored guests, Dr. Williams, thank you, one and all. Now, this is a wonderful thing, a graduation. And I hope your life's going to be filled with many more, not in terms of diplomas, but in the sense that you will have escalating accomplishment throughout your days. I've been asked to aid in that quest by giving you some advice, so here it goes. First, live boldly. Live a whole life. I got 5 tips for pulling this off, and let me warn you, they've all been road tested. I've learned them the old-fashioned way through trial and error. Number 1, think. You've got a diploma now. You got a brain. Put them to work. Catholic University has equipped you with an extraordinary and valuable tool. It's taught you how to learn. This handy skill never wears out, so please use it all the time. After all, the human mind's a wondrous thing. It's restless, always eager for action, always raring for places to go. While you've been here, you have developed analytical skills, but they alone won't get you through. You're smart, but we humans are also gullible, really gullible. Just ask the serpent in Eden. Therefore, you're going to need to develop some discernment, some common sense. My grandmother, who was reared in hardscrabble rural Kentucky, used to lecture me all the time about the perils of book learning. I used to scoff at that until I got out on my own. I still remember living in my first apartment, waking up one morning to a weird muffled popping sound. I padded out to the kitchen. I felt something cold on my scalp. I looked up and saw viscous orange goo dripping from the ceiling. See, Grandma would have known not to let frozen orange juice sit on the counter, thawing without letting the cap loose. Common sense. Heed the counsel of your elders, including your parents. I guarantee you, they have made some howling mistakes if, like me, they went to college in the 70s and 80s. They probably haven't owned up to them, but they might now because they want to protect you. You see, they know that you're leaving the nest, and now that you're leaving the nest, predators soon will begin to circle. Some are going to try to take your money, but the really clever ones are going to tempt you to throw your life away. They'll appeal to your pride and vanity, or worse, to your moral ambition. After all, there's nothing more subversive than the offer to become a saint. So think things through. Be patient. If somebody tries to give you a hard sell, you know they're peddling snake oil. Don't buy it. If something's not worth pondering, it is certainly not worth doing. And if your gut tells you something's fishy, trust your gut. You know, hucksters perform an unintended service. Everybody here, I'm sure you've all been conned. I am such a sucker, I get conned all the time. But what happens is that they make you look in the mirror and assess honestly the person on the other side. Now, all of us love to delude ourselves, making excuses. But you know, the more we resist being honest and doing an honest evaluation, the sillier we behave. If you don't believe it, think of any swinger you have ever seen in your life. Socrates was right. Know thyself. But see, there's more. Once you've gotten past the mirror phase, then things begin to get really interesting. You begin to confront the truly overwhelming question. Why am I here? See, and that begins to open up the whole universe. Because it impels you to think like a child staring out at a starry night. Who put the lights in the sky? Who put me here? Why? And pretty soon you are thinking about God. Don't shrink from pondering God's role in the universe or Christ's. You see, it's trendy to reject religious reflection as a grave offense against decency. That's not only cowardly, it's false. Faith and reason are knitted together in the human soul. So don't leave home without either one. Second recommendation, go off-road. It's tempting to search for comfort, but don't play it too safe. Every once in a while, you have got to get yourself into a mess, a scrape, a circumstance that makes you look around and gasp, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. You'll shudder and tremble, but you will have no choice but to rise to the occasion. Let's be honest. Most of us spend a great deal of our lives over our heads in one way or another. Don't reject it, don't resist it, don't deny it, just make the most of it. You see, when you go off-road, when you start taking the little risks, your ambitions and limits get to know each other up close and personal. You also learn never to try to do anything all by yourself. You're going to need help, lots of it. Don't be bashful. Ask. Everybody you know harbors a secret desire, maybe even an unsecret desire, to do something good for somebody else. In every important venture and adventure in your life, you're going to have to dangle one foot over the abyss of uncertainty and ask, can I do this? Am I up to it? And you're going to have to summon a little faith in God, your friends, strangers, and most of all, in yourself. When you're going off-road, don't be content with what you know now. The reason you came to college is you didn't know very much. Now you know a little more, but the challenge is to keep building on it. So try something completely different. I don't care. Learn something trivial. Learn it well. Sing karaoke if you dare. Learn to fix something in the house. Help out at a homeless shelter. Start a rock and roll band. My wife hopes I'll just venture out and start cleaning up my study. And be ready for the unplanned educational experiences. Sometimes they're the very best of all. In fact, the most revealing moments are the ones that are unplanned. Practice a little daring. I'm not talking about driving with your eyes closed, but something that's tantalizing because it raises the question of whether this particular activity and goal lies inside or outside the limit of your abilities. Last summer, we were in Crawford. I was with the president. The president has this love of riding a bicycle off-road. It's a treacherous and crazy thing, plunging down declines, over seeming cliffs, ravines, up rocks. He loves it. And I said, well, I might like to try that sometime. I was trying to make nice. I was trying to kiss up to the boss. So the first time out at the ranch, he says, Snow, you ready to ride? I looked around and said, well, I don't have any shorts, sir. So I say, Jared, you got shorts? Yes, sir. Hands out a pair of shorts. Well, all I have are these running shoes. They'll do. Hands off a t-shirt, so off we go. Now, again, it's an adventure because the president, being aerobic at everything he does, plunges into this with an absolute incredible vigor. And I thought I was doing all right at the beginning. I'm chuffing along at the back of the pack respectfully, and also because I was the rushed rider. But there was always that lingering fear. At one point he says, okay, you're going to need your brakes here. It's straight down, it's boulders, and the other side's a cliff. Watch out. We finally get to this place where the road part, you go off-road, and there's a drop of about 15 or 20 feet. It rises up again and goes around a curve. President goes down and goes, woohoo! Person behind him goes down and goes, woohoo! I'm in the back, I go, ah! But there I am. Okay, where am I? The limits of the abilities. Which side of the line am I on? I go down. It's great. I'm going full speed, and then all of a sudden, coming up, a tree appears right in the middle of the path. Everybody hears it. Snow, you okay back there? Yes, sir. Just hit a tree. Okay, well, come on then. They made the rest of the trip with a wobbly front tire, which had been bent up in the encounter. The point's simple. When a chance presents itself, take a prudent and interesting risk. If it doesn't work out, that is okay. Don't worry about that either. You see, God presents blessings in unexpected packages. Don't overlook them. Remember, no guts, no glory. Third, commit. This is a way of talking about faith. American culture likes to celebrate the petulant outcast, the smart aleck with contempt for everything and faith in nothing, snarky mavericks. The problem is these guys are losers. They have signed up for an impossible mission because they've decided that they're going to create all the meaning in their lives. They've either decided that no moral law exists, or they will be the creator, the author of those laws. Now, one road leads to complete total anarchy, a life that's solitary, nasty, brutish, and short. The other is to insanity, since it requires playing God. We know in our hearts, intuitively, by the way we act from our first as children, that the universe unfolds with a discernible order, and that moral laws, far from being convenient social conventions, are firm and unalterable. They predate us, they will survive us. And rather than admitting our weakness, a lot of times we just decide we'll try to get by, and maybe rather than giving God credit, we'll try to look for a cheap substitute. Walk into a bookstore, you'll know what I mean. The shelves are groaning underneath trendy tomes promising salvation, medicine balls, herbs, purges, all sorts of weird stuff. In politics, there's a variant that elevates government to the status of God. It says that it is the source of love. It ought to be the recipient of your tithes, but government, while it does pursue compassionate ends, cannot be loving and personal. It treats all of us as completely equal rather than uniquely divine. So the point is, you can't escape the question of God, and you can't escape the question of commitments. Now, when it comes to faith, I've taken my own journey. You will have to take your own. But here's what I know. Faith is as natural as the air we breathe. Religion's not an opiate, just the opposite. It is the introduction to the ultimate extreme sport. There is nothing that you can imagine that God cannot trump. As Paul said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And once you realize that there's something greater than you out there, then you have to decide, do I acknowledge it and do I act upon it? You have to, at some point, surrender yourself. And there is nothing worthwhile in your life that will not at some point require an act of submission. It's true of faith and friendship, but here's a practical passage, especially to marriage. Tolstoy once said, all happy marriages are happy in the same way, and here's what he meant. When both people commit, when they say, you and I are bound together forever, period, no questions, no codicils, no prenups, no escape clauses, then all of a sudden the temptations become irrelevant and the glories become possible. There is nothing like the pleasure of being a parent or waking up next morning to somebody whose breath has become the echo of your heartbeat. Trust me on this. It does not get any better. Commit. Next, get out. Your parents are probably saying that too. You're about to encounter a world larger than you know, with peaks, valleys, pits, and precipices that you cannot possibly imagine. You're going to work long hours. You'll eat pizza at 4 in the morning. You'll try to find love in the weirdest places. You'll audition outfits and personalities and styles until something seems to fit. But eventually, the way you're going to craft your legacy is predictable. You will stamp your imprint on other people's hearts. You're not going to do that rotting in front of a computer. I've been informed by my teenage daughter, there's a new trend in high school now, dating. Only it's a peculiar kind of dating because the datees do not actually spend time in each other's presence. Instead, they conduct their courtship online. Now, technology invites us to build communities out of electrons rather than blood and flesh, and I'm just encouraging you, please understand the difference between a closed parenthesis followed by a colon and a smile. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot kiss a cursor. Now, the world can be a frightening place, and sometimes the computer may seem to provide refuge, but don't do it. We also try to hide in other ways, by looking away from the panhandler on the corner or ignoring the fact that somebody is berating somebody for no reason at all. You know, what you got to do is you got to learn those adult wiles that I was telling you about, but don't give up the child in you. When kids see injustice, they mention it. Daddy, why is that man screaming at his wife? They ask about the things we pretend not to see and that we have to step up to. So when it comes to the world, engage it in every possible way. Don't be chicken. Get dirt under your fingernails, scrape your knees, laugh a lot at yourself. Trust me, if you don't, others will do it for you. But don't shrink from the pain and the poignancy and the ache too, because they're essential. They bring us together. They're part of our experience. They live in everything you do, but they cannot work their magic until you leave the computer screen, get out the front door. Finally, love. How trite is that? But it's everything. It separates happiness from misery. It separates the full life from the empty life. To love is to acknowledge that life is not about you. I want you to remember that. It's not about you. It's a hard lesson. A lot of people go through life and never learn it. It's to submit willingly, heart and soul, to things that matter. Love's not melodrama. You don't purchase it. You don't manufacture it. You build it. Every time I buy something gaudy for my wife, she says, "Oh, that's nice," and it goes away someplace. The love letter she keeps, I don't know where the jewelry is. Love springs from small deeds, the gestures that say casually and naturally, "I care," that acknowledge what's special about somebody else. If somebody's smarter, quicker, prettier, better, or wiser than you, tell them and learn from them. Don't be jealous. Glory in it. Now, the reason I talk about love is it pulls together the strands of the other tips I've already given you. I'll give you some examples. Another presidential story. I traveled with the president last Wednesday to Greensburg, Kansas. Now, 10 days ago, that town was small, pretty, and whole. But within minutes on a Friday, a giant tornado reduced Greensburg to splinters. Once nice homes now lie in matchstick heaps. The trees stretch their barren, barkless limbs toward the sky. It looks like Hiroshima, but with grass all around. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I ran into a guy who hadn't had a shower in 5 days because the water's not back on, and he motioned for me to come up. He just wanted to tell a story. He's a plumber, and just the week before, they put a brand new boiler in the local school. Well, the school had been leveled, and the boiler was just a hunk of twisted metal. He came in, he said, "I got a call from people who sold it to me. They said, 'We saw what happened, don't worry. Don't worry about the boiler. When the time comes, we're going to replace it.'" Then he stopped. He said, "And you know what else they did?" He said, "They're sending me a truck." He said, "We saw what happened. We know you lost your truck. The one we're sending you isn't new, but it works great." And then he stood there, surrounded by the splintered homes and the Halloween trees. He just cried, just crying. And he reached his arms out and he hugged me. He said, "Thanks." See, here's somebody who lets somebody else help and lets somebody else into his life. He went off-road in a different kind of way, bearing himself, and then he decided to pass on the favor. Think not only of what it means to love, but also what it means to be loved. I got a lot of experience in that. Since the news that I have cancer again, I've heard from thousands and thousands of people, and I have been the subject of untold prayer. I will tell you right now, you're young, you're bulletproof, you're invincible. Never underestimate the power of other people's love and prayer. They have incredible power. It's as if I had been carried on the shoulders of an entire army, and they had made me weightless. The soldiers in the army just wanted to do a nice thing for somebody. And as I mentioned, a lot of people, everybody out here wants to do the same thing. To love is to place others before you and to make their needs your priority. Do it. When you put somebody else at the center of the frame, your entire world changes, and for the better. You begin to find your own place in the world. When you're drawn into the lives of others, you enter their problems, their hopes, their dreams, their families. They whisk you down unimagined corridors toward possibilities that had been hidden to you before. So resolve to do little things for others. You don't know where they're going to lead, but then again, you don't have any idea where your life is going to lead. When I was your age, I had long hair, a beard, and thought of myself as a socialist. You are going to pinball all over the place, from experience to experience, job to job, and I want you to remember that you've got company. And that if you engage them with heart and mind, with your faith and energy, you're going to find yourself on a cresting wave. It'll carry you forward. It'll push you underwater from time to time. And someday in the dim and distant future, when you're looking back at it, you're not going to think about your car or your career, your gold watch. You'll think about a chewed up teddy bear you had as a baby, or maybe your child's smile on a special Christmas morning. The only things that are sure to endure are the artifacts of love. So go out and build as many as you can. And finally, this: wherever you are and whatever you do, never forget, at this moment and every moment forward, you have a precious blessing. You got the breath of life. No matter how lousy things may seem, you've got the breath of life. And while God doesn't promise eternity, doesn't promise tomorrow, He does promise eternity. I'll make a confession. I've never been happier than I am today, not just because I got this wonderful fancy degree, but because the tips I've been sharing with you are leading me toward my next graduation. You see, 30 years after I got my Bachelor of Arts, I'm just like you. I aspire to new graduations, and I'm just as excited about the future. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. None of us ever stops taking baby steps. Be humble, be alive, be awake. Take each new step as if it were the first, then take another. And when you tumble, as you will, when a kind hand reaches out to pick you up, smile, say thanks, and get back to it. It may not give you a whole life, but it'll sure get you started. Thanks.
Mr. Snow, the Catholic University community is most grateful to you for sharing your thoughts and insights with us today. Thank you for the compliment you have paid our university by your participation. You have made this special day of celebration even more memorable. At this time, it is my honor to present Dr. John Convey, Provost of the University, who will present the candidates for degrees earned in course. Dr. Convey.
Candidates for degrees earned in course will be presented to the President and the Chancellor by the Deans of the schools of the university. Honors for undergraduate academic achievement earned by the candidates are noted in the printed program. As each Dean is introduced, the degree candidates from the respective school are asked to rise to be presented. Please do not don your academic hoods until the formal conferral of the degree by the Chancellor and by the President. The Dean of the School of Architecture and Planning, founded in 1992, Professor Randall Ott. Architects, please rise.
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Architecture and Planning, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Master of Architecture and Bachelor of Science in Architecture, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Library and Information Science, founded in 1981, Dr. Martha Hale. Would the librarians please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Library and Information Science, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degrees of Library and Information Science who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of Metropolitan College, founded in 1980, Dr. Sarah Thompson.
Metropolitan College graduates, please stand. Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of Metropolitan College, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts in General Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Information Technology, and Bachelor of Arts in Management, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the Benjamin T. Rome School of Music, founded in 1965, Professor Murray Sidlin. Would the musicians please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl, President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Music, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Musical Arts, Master of Arts, Master of Music, and Bachelor of Music who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Nursing, founded in 1935, Dr. Nalini Jareth. Would the nurses please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Master of Science in Nursing, and Doctor of Philosophy, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the National Catholic School of Social Service, founded in 1934, Dr. James R. Zabora. Would the social workers please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl, President O'Connell, as Dean of the National Catholic School of Social Service, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Social Work, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Engineering, founded in 1930, Dr. Charles Nguyen. Would the engineers please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl, President Father O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Engineering, I have the great honor to present to you the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Biomedical Engineering, Bachelor of Civil Engineering, Bachelor of Electrical Engineering, Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, Master of Biomedical Engineering, Master of Civil Engineering, Master of Electrical Engineering, Master of Mechanical Engineering, Master of Science in Computer Science, Master of Science Engineering, and finally, Doctor of Philosophy, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Canon Law, founded in 1923, Reverend Monsignor Dr. Brian Firm. Would the canonists please rise?
Your Excellency Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Canon Law, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of doctorate and licentiate in canon law who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, founded in 1906, Dr. Lawrence Poos. Would all those in arts and science please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl, President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Fine Arts, and Doctor of Philosophy, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Philosophy, founded in 1895, Reverend Dr. Kurt Pritzel. Would the philosophers please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Philosophy, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Philosophy, Master of Arts, Licentiate in Philosophy, and Doctor of Philosophy, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Dean of the School of Theology and Religious Studies, founded in 1889, Reverend Monsignor Dr. Kevin Irwin. Would the theologians please rise?
Your Excellency, Archbishop Wuerl and President O'Connell, as Dean of the School of Theology and Religious Studies, I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Sacred Theology, Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Ministry, Licentiate in Sacred Theology, Master of Arts, Master of Divinity, and Bachelor of Sacred Theology, who have been approved by the Academic Senate.
The Columbus School of Law was founded in 1899, and its dean, Professor Vera Miles, and members of the law faculty are present with us today. But the degree Juris Doctor from the law school will be conferred at university commencement exercises on Friday, May 25th at 2 o'clock in the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Degrees earned in course will now be formally conferred. Academic hoods will be donned by the recipients after the respective degrees have been conferred. First, His Excellency, the Chancellor of the University, will confer the ecclesiastical licentiate and baccalaureate degrees earned in course. All those receiving ecclesiastical degrees other than doctorates, please stand.
In virtue of the authority committed to me as Chancellor of the Catholic University of America, I am pleased to confer upon each candidate the ecclesiastical degree for which each has been individually recommended by the School of Philosophy, the School of Canon Law, and the School of Theology and Religious Studies, and by the Academic Senate, as having satisfied the requirements for these degrees as prescribed by the Holy See.
The President of the University will now confer all master's degrees and first professional degrees earned in course. Would those candidates please rise?
By the power vested in me as President of the Catholic University of America, I am pleased to confer upon each of you the master's or first professional degree for which you have been individually recommended by your several schools and by the Academic Senate. Congratulations.
All those receiving baccalaureate degrees will now please rise. If
you want to stay for another couple of years, that's fine. by the power vested in me as President of the Catholic University of America, I am pleased to confer upon each of you the baccalaureate degree for which you have been individually recommended by your several schools and by the Academic Senate. Congratulations.
All doctoral candidates will now please rise and be escorted to the stage by the ushers. In the Benjamin T. Rome School of Music for the degree Doctor of Musical Arts, Chun-Wan Chu, Carmen Celia Fregionzi, Michael H. Huff, Regina Ann Caldwell, Gina Chung, Gay Gerard Brewer, Anne-Marie Comschutter, Mariana de Alameda Lima, Erica Lai Schaefer, Yi Chen Shao, Phyllis Ann Vickers, Peter J. Wilson. In the School of Nursing for the degree Doctor of Philosophy, Mei Chen Chun, Suzanne W. Gibbons, Ellen Louise Bengay-Poole, Anne-Marie Reb, Mary D. Gregory Bigone, Catherine M. Burt, Jacqueline Hunt, Heidi Wynn Maloney. In the National Catholic School of Social Service for the degree Doctor of Philosophy, David E. Cabrera, Sherry Lynn Valencia, Julie Christine Lopez, Lisa Ann Patterson, David A. Barclay, Rosalind Olivia Scott, Ellen F. Thursby. In the School of Engineering for Doctor of Philosophy, H. Scott Combe, Neil Dominic Weston, Yun Chung Mei. In the School of Canon Law, Doctor of Canon Law, the Reverend Michael K. Skaraki, the Reverend Peter Akopadranin, the Reverend John J. M. Foster. In the School of Arts and Science, Doctor of Philosophy and Anthropology, Heinrich Gaska, Samantha Angelica Maria Holben, Martha Stoholer Barkel, Maria Consuelo Sanchez Gonzalez, Christopher H. Varola. The Doctor of Philosophy and Biology, Pen Wang, Jay Zhao, James Edward Barlow, Charles A. Mainhart, Mary Camille Filgione. Doctor of Philosophy and Education, Monica Branco Handyside. Doctor of Philosophy in English, Mary Yves Thompson. Doctor of Philosophy in Latin, Edward Andrian Strickland. Doctor of Philosophy in Modern Languages and Literatures, Lawrence M. Denny Higney, Katia Kapelik, James Mark Grisey, Maria Luisa Perez Bernardo, Christopher J. Schaefer. Doctor of Philosophy in Physics, Sejan Anamaile. Doctor of Philosophy in Politics, Mitchell A. Sullenberger, Joanne Elizabeth Tetlow, Patrick Keogh Clifton Bratton, Lawrence Bernard Reardon, Abdelmohsen Alassa, Robert F. Hines. Doctor of Philosophy in Psychology, Renata Chircarara, Aaron Donani, Veronica Holland LaSalle Ricci, Erica Maria Rovira, Michelle Ann Sottenbauer, Rebecca Christine Walter, Barbara Zelda Mazer, Amy Kieran Conrad, Catherine Ann McGarry. Doctor of Philosophy in Semitic and Egyptian Languages and Literature, Mark Stewart Leeson. School of Philosophy, Doctor of Philosophy, Sojun Kim, David John Klassen, Molly Bridget Flynn, Thaddeus Julian Kozinski, Joseph Patrick Rice, the Reverend Mark Edward Wenziger. The School of Theology and Religious Studies, Doctor of Sacred Theology, the Reverend Clifford Nadu Aniafuna, the Reverend Stephen Sauer, the Reverend Raphael Galchen Peng. For the degree Doctor of Philosophy, Benjamin J. Brown, Anthony Tyrus Gaines Cirilli, David J. Endries, Dennis J. Obermeyer, Oli Kindley, Brendan Ignatius McGorty, Jeffrey David Miller, Oswald John Nera, Theodore James Wapham, the Reverend Joseph Zhang. For the degree Doctor of Ministry, Reverend Quen Sing Yak, Sister Paulina Hurtado, the Reverend Kevin Carlin Kennedy. The Chancellor will first confer all ecclesiastical doctoral degrees.
In virtue of the authority committed to me as Chancellor of the Catholic University of America, I am pleased to confer upon each candidate who has been presented for an ecclesiastical doctoral degree, for which each has been individually recommended by the School of Philosophy, the School of Canon Law, and the School of Theology and Religious Studies, and by the Academic Senate, as having satisfied the requirements for these degrees as prescribed by the Holy See.
Father O'Connell will confer all other doctoral degrees.
By the power vested in me as President of the Catholic University of America, I am pleased to confer upon you the doctoral degree for which you have been individually recommended by your several schools and by the Academic Senate. Congratulations. The hardest part of studies at Catholic University is putting on that hood. See what I mean? Congratulations. I was so looking forward to today's ceremony. First of all, to welcome and to hear Tony Snow as he offered us his wisdom and his experience. We have been praying for you, Tony. We're part of that group that has been praying for you in these days. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. In the other half of the Tony Awards, to Mayor Williams. Mayor Williams, you have been an extraordinary mayor and have done so much to make us proud of this, our city, the nation's capital. We are honored and grateful that you are here with us today. What I wasn't looking forward to today was saying goodbye to this class. The undergraduates of 2007 have been an extraordinary class. Good class, positive class, a class that all of us have loved having at Catholic University and are so happy to see you succeed. Congratulations. Today, I also want to express heartfelt thanks to Father Thomas Hurst, who has served so well as the rector of our university seminary at Theological College. Father Hurst, we wish you a fond farewell as you take on new responsibilities for the Society of San Sulpice. Today, also another goodbye. We bid farewell to the Dean of the School of Library and Information Science, Dr. Martha Hale, who steps down from her position. She has been an extraordinary dean, and we thank her for her service. For 10 years, Dr. Convey has been reading the names of our doctoral candidates as they say goodbye to us at commencement. This year, Dr. Convey finishes. He's stepping down as our university provost to resume his career as a member of the faculty in the Department of Education. I want to offer my heartfelt thanks and the thanks of all of us at the university to Dr. Convey for his decade of service as our provost. We wish him well as he rededicates himself to full-time teaching and research in Catholic education, for which he is so well known. John, thank you. Many of our graduates today have parents, at least one parent who graduated from Catholic U, and we are delighted to welcome those alumni parents back to campus. All parents and spouses of graduates, please stand and receive our thanks and acknowledgement. I'm very grateful this weekend to everyone who helped to make this graduation ceremony, commencement ceremony, such an extraordinary success, and also to the women and men we have honored today. The four of you, Megan, Mabel, Dr. Snow, Dr. Williams, you provide examples of commitment and leadership and generosity of self and faith, which I hope every one of our graduates will remember throughout their lives. You honor us today with your presence, and we are in your debt. The moment has come, graduates. The time to say goodbye. Finally, I offer you as president, in the name of all of the faculty and staff and administration, personal congratulations and our thanks. You join now the legion of successful graduates of the Catholic University of America. And as you leave us, you carry with you the hopes and visions of our shared history in this unique project we call the Catholic University of America. Congratulations and God bless you.
At the end of the commencement, all guests are requested to remain in their places until after the recessional. Undergraduates of the School of Arts and Sciences will remain in their seats for the conferral of baccalaureate diplomas, which will begin immediately following the recessional. After the singing of the alma mater and the benediction, which will be offered by the university chaplain, Father Robert Schlageter, the president and chancellor will lead the recessional and will be followed by the officers of the university, the faculties, and the other members of the class of 2007. All recipients of degrees will proceed then to the places designated in the program for the distribution of diplomas, where their families and friends are invited to join them. Please rise and join in singing the alma mater, the text of which is found at the back of your program. Please remain standing while Father Schlageter offers the benediction.
Let us pray. Lord, today is a wonderful day, a day of celebration and a day of hope, a day to remember and a day to give thanks. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for these graduates, and we ask you to bless them. Bless them and their loved ones on this day of rejoicing. Implant in their hearts the gift of hope as they venture forth from our campus. Give them the grace they need to meet the challenges which life will present. Give them the courage to follow their convictions. Give them the wisdom to work and persevere and to sacrifice for things that really matter. May the lessons they have learned here be placed at the service of our whole human family. May the friendships that they have made here remain with them always. May the memories that they have created here at CUA always bring a smile to their faces. And finally, Lord, we pray for the Catholic University of America, your university built on the foundation of faith. May it never cease in preparing the next generation to assume its place of service in our world. We ask all of these things through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Congratulations to all our graduates and their families. I declare this academic convocation for the 2007 commencement of the Catholic University of America officially concluded.